Thank you. There's a lot of community members here. Appreciate your presence, your input throughout the past 3 or 4 months. In a moment, we are going to be voting on a resolution that is before us, and as Shane mentioned, you know, I think the board realizes the import and the enormity of this, and also the fact that it requires a lot of ongoing work for us to complete this. So there remain challenges in front of us, and you know, if anybody out here community-wise has anything that they want to say, again, we appreciate your input over the past several months. We've had comments on the DC3 website, some of these meetings, personal communications, those kind of things have been brought forward. I think with any major situation like this, as Shane said, there's unanswered questions, and there's numbers that need to be worked out. There's frameworks in terms of an operating agreement that works for us as a community college. But the time has come for us as a board to vote our conscience on which direction we want to go, and so that's where we're headed. There is a second agenda item to follow this, but I feel like it's important to go to this first one from KBOR first. So I would like to see if there's a motion for Resolution 2014-05.
Mr. Chair, does the trustees group have an opportunity to speak before we vote?
Sure, we have discussion after the motion's on the table.
Please. And,
Okay.
We need a motion on the table first.
Before trustees, there's plenty of time to discuss it. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Now discussion. Next.
Thank you. I feel very strongly that we actually are being heard and asking us to vote on this because we have not had work sessions to come to conclusion on our own. And there are things, just like David pointed out, that we don't even have an opportunity to discuss. I have a prepared statement, and this is my true feelings. I agree with you that you still can work on a plan, so I indulge your time for this statement. There are exciting potentials in this proposal. I said from the beginning I wanted those things to happen for our community. Many questionable issues have surfaced since then. Among them, the terms partnership and merger appear interchangeably in various statements, even though they have entirely different meanings. Partnership implying cooperative agreements, which are being done successfully all over the country. Merger implying loss of identity, requiring Ford County taxpayers, that is property taxpayers, to continue to pay the bills for the benefit of Fort Hays and Dodge City. Taxpayers voted in 1965 to do what we're doing now and should have the right to vote on a drastic change dissolving the college, and that is the word that's used, dissolving the college and continuing to pay for it. There is a new president coming into Fort Hays who will inherit whatever we do. Why isn't her input being considered now? There has been no feasibility study for this proposal, even though I believe there's a regent policy that requires it, and certainly should be a part of the planning process locally. The motion this board passed on March 27th indicated that we would, in good faith, pursue the concept and develop a specific framework, and we have not held work sessions to do that. Questions remain among us that have not been addressed. The people of Ford County own Dodge City Community College. We as trustees are entrusted to care for it, not to give it away. I support the concept of a baccalaureate center but I cannot support this plan as being in the best interest of the college. The concept is a good idea, but the plan is not. We have a mandate to do what we said we would do, but we have not done that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you for comments. Are there others?
Well, from my point of view, I mean, I love everything Shane said, you know. If it works out like they say it's going to, I think it's going to be a game changer for Dodge City. On the flip side of that, I agree with Forrest Jean as well. And if it's this big of a deal and this good of a deal, why not do a feasibility study to make sure we're getting what we think we're getting? Why not talk to the Fort Hays incoming president to make sure she's behind it and get her true feelings on it? You know, and just why not talk to our advisory committees? Why not have work sessions and just keep the ball rolling? I mean, if it's such a great deal, why does it have to be done so fast? Why can't we just take our time and get to where we want to go? Because to me, it feels like it's just trying to be kind of shoved through. And like I said, maybe it is a great deal, maybe it's not. But if we don't explore all of our options and follow through with what we were elected to follow through with, I think we're not doing our due diligence in the process.
I think it's important to recall or remember in the white paper the conceptual agreement or framework that we're going to be voting on. Several times throughout that, it's pretty explicit that the board, our board, K-Board, Fort Hays, has the opportunity to opt out of this process as it's being developed. So, you know, if that's any comfort in terms of thinking what this vote means tonight really is going forward. There are so many plans and issues that have to be discussed and decided upon in full. I think there's going to be many situations where we're going to have meetings and we're going to have conflict and the ability to come together and work those things out. And again, anybody in this room who says, oh, this couldn't be a great possibility, you have your head in the sand. We all understand that. Everybody's agreeing on that. I feel, however, that if we're not willing as a board to take this next step of kind of stepping out and saying, there's a lot of questions yet to be answered, we plan on being a part of that process. We realize, though, from KBOR that this is the only way this is going forward. I feel like we're doing our part in terms of what we're supposed to be doing.
How long does it take to get an independent feasibility study?
I don't know.
Anybody have an idea?
Who's going to fund it?
How much does it cost?
Well, why would K-Board, I mean, my concern, and you can speak to this, is K-Board right now wants a declared proposal. This is what we're voting on tonight, and why would they go forward with a feasibility study if they don't even have a proposal on the table yet?
That's right.
I
we need to
mean,
put
I
it
don't
in
go invest
perspective.
money into do something that I know nobody's behind yet. Nobody's like that. That's bad business. Maybe you can speak to that.
But you're also not going to put money into something you haven't completely checked out, though, either.
Sure. But that's what we're asking to do. We're not putting any money into this. to go
Yeah,
forward.
we're asking to sign a document that we aren't 100% sure of without knowing everything there is to know.
I just don't know if we'll ever know all that. And that's my concern. I mean, I don't know that we'll ever answer every single question until we go further in the process. Shane, or can you speak?
Yeah, Jason, on the issue of the feasibility study, you know, that's really Hayes' risk. You know, you're not asked anything to put into that technical institute. This community is not asked to put anything into that upper division college. We've got a study that we did on that upper division college that shows numbers way in excess of 500. So I hope I'm wrong, and I hope there's a couple thousand students in that upper division college. As far as that technical program goes, it is completely a unique type of situation. There's really nothing in the nation that looks like it. So I don't even know if you can have a study. But from your perspective and from Ford County's perspective, you're not risking anything. There's nothing out there. If it's a complete failure, you're not out anything except you have a $10 million building sitting on your campus that the state paid for. So I don't know why you'd want to spend a bunch of money worrying about it or studying it. If it fails, that's Fort Hays' problem. That's not your problem. So I don't think it's going to fail. I think it's going to be an immense success. But I wouldn't lose any sleep over worrying about, from this board's perspective, whether it's going to succeed or fail, because it's not going to affect what's going on. That budget was based on everything you're doing now. So it'll work if you don't get one student. It'll save this community millions if you don't get one student. If you get 2,500, it makes our community about $18 million. So my 2 cents, and that's coming from a community member.
We got to put this motion in perspective. In the absence of an affirmative vote, the vote is no. That's the end of it. We don't have no opportunity whatsoever for the Region Center in Dodge City.
So why can't we
So
set?
what's the risk? We approved in the white paper, the 3 occasions, there is language that says that the trustees may opt out of this proposal simply by an affirmative vote. We opt out. Let's go ahead and approve it. Do the feasibility study. Do all of these studies you're talking about. Get the facts straightened out on the finances. Now, I've been the chief fiscal officer for some pretty large education institutions in California. The Alameda County Office of Education, Riverside County Office of Education. But when you tell me that we have a plan where we get all of the funding streams that we currently have, and a $5 million block grant on top of it, that you can't lower the mill levy. I can do it.
What happens when the state reneges on its promise, which it has done many times?
Well, if we were still a community college and they renege on the promise, then what did we do? What did we do every time you raised the mill levy? That's right. So you're saying that the state's going to reduce the appropriations?
I'm saying I've learned from history.
Well, and
It happens.
And institutions that then,
but if we don't merge, it's still going to happen.
true, either that or you raise tuition. That's what all the Regents institutions do when
We'd have
they don't get.
we'd have more flexibility if we were merged than we do just as a community college if they reduce the state aid, because you really have no option other than to raise the mill levy at that point. But I think it would be a shame if we left this issue on the table tonight and walked away from it without even exploring all of the benefits and
Don has a good question, maybe a pertinent question. What are we really voting on tonight? And the resolution, somebody may need to read it, whose mouth is not dry. Go ahead,
I'm
Glenn.
not dry.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, these are the 3 sections, not forgetting all the recitals, but
Right.
the sections are that the Dodge City Community College Board of Trustees endorses the establishment of Fort Hays State University at Dodge City on the terms set out in the May proposal, which is also the Fort Hays white paper. It endorses the merger of the community college with the university and the one institution concept described in the May proposal and the June report. Secondly, the Dodge City Community College Board of Trustees has reviewed the June report prepared by the Kansas Board of Regents Legal Counsel and urges that the necessary statutory changes be sought to allow for the establishment of Fort Hays State University at Dodge City in accordance with the May proposal. 3, the Dodge City Community College Board of Trustees asks the Kansas Board of Regents, 1, advocate for Fort Hays State University at Dodge City in accordance with the May proposal and June report, and 2, authorize Fort Hays State University to seek an appropriation for fiscal year 2015 as described in the May proposal. Those are the 3 sections.
Thank you. So again, those 3 issues are what we're actually voting on to approve with an affirmative vote. Now, I think, Don, what you may be asking, what does that really mean? And that's probably a point of further discussion. But I fully agree with Morris that if we don't take this opportunity to vote affirmatively for this proposal, our options are done. Yeah, we'll go on down the road and keep doing what we've been doing since 1965 or whatever. That may be fine. I don't think it's the right course. I think it's a course that when an elected board has an opportunity to do something like this, sure, it behooves us to look at all the options, but it also means that we should not turn down a possibility or proposal, which we would in essence be doing. And I'm afraid that intended or unintended consequence, you can't take that back. There's a lot of opportunities, as Morris said, moving forward in the development of this plan, that if we see red flags and it's not going to work, yeah, we're out of it. I don't think that's going to happen. I think when problems develop, that's what people get together for, to work those things out, and smart minds figure out things. This is how we're going to do it. Whether it's finances, whether it's faculty issues. The big thing is, we're doing great stuff for our students now. Does anybody not think that this proposal, if it were successful as we hope it would be a huge benefit to future students at this college? Whether you have kids in school, they're already graduated or whatever, that seems like a positive proposal to me.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could I ask Regent Bangeter a question? Would you please research the policy about a feasibility study for the K-Board? I understood there is.
I think Julene put the language in your document that K-Board sent you in regards to K-Board policy.
They mentioned it, but is it a requirement?
I don't know if it's a requirement or not, or it would be in that packet if it is, so. But I'd be happy to get you a copy if you'd like.
Go ahead. All right.
Now, another question I have for Shane is if, say this does get to the legislature and we vote yes tonight, the legislature can basically do whatever they want. They can, if we vote yes, they can change the law, so we don't have, it doesn't have to come back to us for a vote after the operating agreement is reached. That probably could happen, right? Or not?
Here's the way I think it'll happen, Jason. It's going to take a consortium of legislators, and we have some in the room here. What I anticipate will happen is K-Board staff, if you ask them to tonight, put a lot of energy and effort into coming up with the language that we would ask our legislators to take forward. They would then take that and circulate it to your council, to Fort Hays' council, and you're going to have some work sessions, you're going to have to get together, you're going to have to come up with all the things that you're concerned about and make sure that it's in that legislation. Then I think what will happen is we'll get our legislators together, and there'll be hopefully a large group that will go and put a package together that I think, the way I understand what we'll likely ask for is that the legislator approve kind of the big picture, take that to and give the authority to the K-Board to enact the legislation. So whether that happens or not, I don't know. Obviously, when you take something to the legislature, they can change things, they can modify things, but we're going to try to control that as much as we can. We're going to try to keep a group together so that that legislation says exactly what you want it to say, what K-Board wants it to say, and what Fort Hays wants it to say. So, any comments on that, Bud or Ron? Can I go up there?
Yeah, go ahead. Thanks, Bud.
Part of the reason that no other institutions in western Kansas have come to fruition in the 4 years since is because nobody, the Board of Regents, the legislature, the governor, was never in favor of such a thing, because if you put a four-year institution, a normal one in western Kansas, that competes with KU, K-State, Wichita, all the others. And it's been shown by studies from, I think the Regents did it, that there would not be enough students in western Kansas left to support a full-blown four-year institution the way we would want it to be and need for it to be done. That's why this concept is totally unique and totally different, because we're not depending on that. We're not going to be taking students from Garden City JUCO. We're not going to be taking students from Liberal. They don't need to be worried about that, because we have our junior college level, they have theirs, that's the same. We'll be, hopefully some of their graduates would come here for their four-year finish and that sort of thing. But the real big part of it, the upper division deal that has the slots in it, that national companies will be furnishing kids to come here to get their educations. While there will be some of those come from Kansas, but for national companies, they're going to be bringing kids from Illinois, New York, New Jersey, who knows where. Their responsibility, each one of those companies that has these slots, it'll be their responsibility to recruit and bring students here. It won't be us. It won't be Fort Hays State. So we don't have to go out and worry about that part of it. But that's the only reason this thing really, really works, and that's the reason the first time, as far as I know in history, that the governor, the Board of Regents, and probably the legislature, and the reason I say that, the legislature never, like you say, sometimes we're a little shaky on some things. Of course, evidently we scared you to death a time or two, but when it comes down to this concept, we're not asking the legislature to drop $50 million or whatever into this project, and every year they're going to be funding it. They're getting a bargain on this deal, and they're going to realize that, because and we talk about the legislature, what they're likely to do. If all the colleges in our state, and we've got some great ones, but of all the presidents or people running those colleges, none compares to Ed Hammond when it comes to respect from the governor and the Board of Regents and from the legislature. And once this program is all put together, worked out by all of us and the regents and the legislative people that will be working on this, and once we do it, if we do it all together, if we do it as a community, working for the same thing, because, I mean, goodness gracious, seems to be some feeling that that this idea would be against our teachers or against our, where did that come from? We want the best for our teachers, we want the best for our community, and we want the best for our students. If there's hiccups or bumps in the road, that will be taken care of, because we do not, pardon me, there should be nothing but really cool, good stuff come out of this. And you guys are getting the opportunity, or we are getting the opportunity to venture into this with no investment. We're not asking our taxpayers to throw $20 million into this so we can have a chance at it. And we're not, and we've got a bailout clause. I mean, I don't think that's ever been offered to anybody, to have a big deal like this, and yet we can bail off if it's obviously not going to be good for our community, good for our teachers, good for our students, then we can bail off. Well, people aren't going to go to all this effort to make this kind of a concept if it's not good for us. And all of you, if you're on board, if we're all working together, we can make this happen. The community, and this is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime deal for Dodge, I guarantee you. We talk about, I don't know how many times I've heard people say, oh, why does Garden City get everything? Why did they get all the retail? Why did they? We have an opportunity, people, to step up and get something that Garden City doesn't have at this point. But let me promise you this, if that vote is no tonight, Garden City calls tomorrow. And don't kid yourself there. You people can say, oh, the college doesn't want it. Hey, that town wants it in the worst way, and they will be telling the college, yes, we're going to do it. They've got tons of new motels over there, and they've got a Menards, and they've got, all right, well, people go to Garden City to buy a board or a hamburger. They don't stay overnight. They come to Dodge, they go to our casino, yeah, they'll stay overnight. But what's it going to take to fill Garden City's hotels? A four-year college. Can you imagine how many parents are going to be coming to Dodge City to see their youngsters? And you know how many rooms it's going to take to do that? The thing we're not thinking here to me, is we're visioning in on a little piece. We're not thinking of what it's going to do for this whole area, because there's going to be one of these colleges, only one. And where it goes, it will either be, if we drop the ball, it's going to be 50 miles that way, I'm assuming. Because they've already talked to the secretary, they've already talked to, believe you me, you vote no tonight, tomorrow their headlines are going to be ecstatic. So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. I do not see this as a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. The teachers are concerned, I'm sorry about that. Anytime there's a big change like this, the word fear pops up. We all are afraid of what might happen negatively. But we want to take better care of our teachers. We want, I mean, to me, I get flabbergasted every time I hear the negative parts of it, and I can't hardly see it. But that's just me, I guess. I'm an optimist, so. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bud, for your comments. I just had a